day. Free band. In stores now.
Talking sleep.
You know what I mean? Just palm off. Nothing. Too much flavor.
Free band only young come out for right now.
Man, y'all hear that?
Crank the Ferraris up, you understand? The latest memo, the greatest memo. I understand one of them on this free band package, man. Yeah, the last and oldest memo just showed up.
Realize, man, you know this the only can do this around me, bro. I don't let pull out shit around me. This the only do that, bro. You know how I play, boy, for real.
You know, I ain't from around here, I'm just down here. You
Tell them what you do, man.
Big ass a bunch of work, baby. 4 days straight, 3-4 foreign countries, 2 or 3 continents, you understand? And pimping been the reason, hoe been in season, right? I'm about to get it pimping up, right? And pick the rap back up, you understand? Let you folks get to hear these balls.
Turn down, man. If I catch you turning down, you just lost. I don't like the way you do business. If you get caught turning down, I don't like the way you do business. You know what I mean? Don't look down, look around. Sweet band is in town. Your face. Show your face, please, with sugar on top.
Alright, y'all, with everything going on in Atlanta right now, especially with Future's brother Casino, I thought it'd be a good idea to shed light on a story that not too many people know about or are aware of. We all know Future, we know Young Scooter, but before they both got popping, there was someone by the name of OG who was like their big homie in a sense. He lived a life, he did everything the rappers rapped about, and even gave out jewelry and cars to some of the big flashy rappers that you see now. Hell, OG at the time of his demise was driving in a $500,000 car back in 2013. Now, I'm not too much of a math guy, but to my calculations, $500,000 in 2019 is equivalent now to $700,000. Despite OG attempting to be a rapper, not too long before his passing, he didn't pave much of a way because he didn't get to do so throughout his short-lived music career. But it's clear as day that Double D wasn't in need of much. Now, Double D's death have always been suspicious and mysterious because no one can properly pinpoint what happened leading up to his death or where it came from and why. OG Double D was big on finessing and even made it his business to always yell out free bands, which was a way of indicating that you taking something or finessing someone out of something. In OG Double D's younger years, he spent time in Miami, Memphis, and then migrated to Atlanta. But many feel that OG Double D slimed his way to his riches and it came back to haunt him in the end, whether it was from alleged pimping, alleged drug dealing, and etc. So we're going to get into the video. Shout out to Dose of Mystery, but in the meantime, make sure you hit that thumbs up button so we can get this video into the algorithm, and if you not subscribed to the platform already, make sure you do so now. Let's get into it.
A man shot while driving down I-20 during rush hour. He was behind the wheel of one of the world's most expensive cars.
The license plate on this Maybach reads Blessed. It's one of the most expensive cars in the world, but this one is covered in bullet holes.
Crazy. Keep in mind, nobody tried to rob him, even though it was a $500,000 car, and at that time, the Rolls Royce was just out of this world, but they didn't try to rob him or nothing. It was a clean sweep of what they came to do, which was shoot it up and then disappeared.
On April 11th, 2013, just after 4:30 p.m., traffic on Atlanta's I-20 westbound was crawling near the Glenwood Avenue exit. It was a typical rush hour. Horns, brake lights, people trying to get home. No one knew they were about to witness something out of a movie. A black Mercedes Maybach moved smoothly through traffic. The car was impossible to miss. Custom, sleek, worth nearly $500,000. Behind the wheel was 41-year-old James Llewell, better known on the streets and in the studio as OG Double D, a rising name in Atlanta rap, a man with deep street ties, and that day, a marked target. Without warning, a white SUV pulled up alongside him in traffic. The move was precise, No hesitation, no drifting. Witnesses said it looked deliberate, like it had to be planned. Then, gunfire erupted. Shots ripped through the passenger side of the Maybach, punching clean through the double-paned glass. At least 9 rounds tore through the vehicle, some exiting through the driver's side door. Cars screeched. Drivers ducked. Chaos erupted in every direction.
Now, do you know how thirsty you gotta be to get somebody when you're willing to do it not just in broad daylight, but they on the highway at rush hour? Right? Just think about it. The logic of doing something like that just doesn't make sense unless you just don't care. But at the end of the day, to be in rush hour on the highway, knowing it's a possibility that after you shoot, you're either going to get your license plate taken down or you're going to get caught stuck in traffic with nowhere to go and people seeing exactly what you just did.
But the Maybach kept coasting forward, slowly rolling to a stop on the highway.
Police say witnesses saw someone in a white SUV shooting at the Maybach during the height of rush hour, then speeding off here on I-20 westbound near the Glenwood exit.
Inside, OG Double D was slumped over the wheel, bleeding from multiple gunshot wounds. An off-duty firefighter, stuck in the same traffic, rushed over and opened the driver's side door. OG Double D was alive, but just barely. The car's luxury interior was soaked in blood. Paramedics arrived and rushed him to Grady Memorial Hospital in critical condition. But the damage had been done. A short time later, OG Double D was pronounced deceased. Back on I-20, lanes were closed off with police tape. Crime scene investigators documented the bullet holes, the blood, the shattered glass. Drivers who had witnessed the shooting were in shock. One man asked aloud what everyone was thinking. Who would shoot someone like that in broad daylight, and why? Just days after the shooting, the city of Atlanta gathered to say goodbye. The funeral for OG Double D was held in Decatur, Georgia. A quiet service for a man whose life had been anything but. When the service ended, the hearse carried OG Double D to his final resting place. News of OG Double D's passing spread fast across Atlanta. By the next morning, social media feeds, blogs, and rap forums were flooded with shock and disbelief. Fans posted photos of him posing beside the Maybach just weeks earlier. Unable to comprehend the same car, now sat riddled with bullets on I-20. Within the Free Band's camp, the loss hit especially hard. Future, who had introduced OG Double D as part of his label only months before, stayed largely silent at first.
Now, is it just me? Right? But I always said OG Double D had to be related to Future some way, somehow. I don't know how. I don't know. They look way too similar. It was at a point in time, I thought OG Double D was his uncle or something. He looks like Future, just with a little more weight and a buzz cut. Crazy.
But when he finally spoke through his music, the grief was clear. In his 2014 single, Hardly, Future rapped about losing his brother. Other Atlanta artists echoed the pain. Rising rap trio, Migos, released their track, R.I.P. Later that summer, shouting out, "Rest in peace, OG Double D," alongside fallen legends like Pimp C, a line that showed how respected he was in the city. Before he was known across Atlanta as OG Double D, he was James Dedrick Llewell, a son, a brother, and a father of 3. Born in 1971 and raised between Memphis, Tennessee, and Miami, Florida, James grew up surrounded by 2 worlds: the church pew his mother brought him to on Sundays, and the rougher streets where money came fast and loyalty was everything.
Now, many people, just because they know of him being a part of Free Bands and affiliated with Future and Scooter, they don't know about the backstory behind OG Double D. Now, OG Double D spent his time in Memphis and Miami. And y'all know what they do in Memphis, right? Some of the slickest guys in this world, right? Slicker than Grease. But at the end of the day, he was accused, allegedly, of pimping, right? Around that time. Before he was the free band and alleged drugs and everything came into play, they say that OG Double D was actually pimping.
By the late 2000s, he had carved out a reputation as a street-smart businessman, someone who moved quietly but commanded respect. When he relocated to Atlanta, the city's booming trap music scene felt like a natural fit. His friends said he fell into the rap game almost accidentally. But once he did, he moved fast. In 2012, Atlanta superstar Future introduced him publicly as part of the Free Band's label, a moment that gave him real visibility. Suddenly, the middle-aged newcomer was rubbing shoulders with the biggest names in trap music, traveling between Atlanta and Miami, and investing in studio sessions for younger artists. OG Double D's image was unmistakable. Heavy jewelry, designer clothes, and a brand new Mercedes Maybach purchased only weeks before his passing. On Instagram, he often posted photos surrounded by cash and friends. An image of success that inspired some and made others suspicious.
Now you see what he says, right? It says sold a fake watch. Now this is part of like the finessing that he's being accused of. Well, one of the many things. Where they saying whether it's bad drugs that wasn't real or fake jewelry. But a lot of people looked up to him because of the lifestyle he lived or what it appeared to be. So this is why a lot of them feel that he was able to get away with things because nobody would expect him of finessing. However, he always made it clear that he's a free band's bandit.
But those close to him describe a different side. To his children, he was a devoted father who tried to guide them away from the streets. To his sister, Pilar Llewell, he was simply a lovable person who didn't hold grudges and wanted to build something lasting through music. He split his time between managing new artists, networking in Miami's nightlife, and taking care of family back in Atlanta. People who knew him said James had finally been turning a corner, ready to legitimize his success and leave the street hustle behind. His life cut short what many believe could have been his second act, a life reborn through music. But behind the image of luxury cars and record label meetings, OG Double D had a reputation that reached far beyond music. In Atlanta's underworld, his name carried weight. People called him OG for a reason. Not as a stage persona, but as a nod to his real-world status.
DVD, you understand, live with Double D's, one more time for the Marshall Dime, It's a really new going on, Come on, man, you ready to ride? On down to the short club, they got a pool party down there, all the NBA boys and everything. Need to be down there. We zoom in on this.
All the baseball, these John was out before Rolex, in the 1600s. Rolex came out in 1800s.
Though court databases in Georgia showed no recent arrest, OG Double D's past was surrounded by whispers. Locals described him as a man who had been getting to it for years. A phrase used on the street to mean serious money. According to Atlanta-based reports and blogs, he was rumored to be a street distributor, operating on a scale large enough to bankroll his lavish lifestyle.
He wanted everybody to be turned up. Like, he wanted everybody to feel that good, to get, he come around, he gonna be popping his say, you know what I'm saying? He gonna be letting you know, like, that he in the building, like, and if you dry, like, if the energy dry, like, if everybody that's in there that ain't matching his energy, like, he type to come pull up on you and compliment you on something, like, you might ain't even got on something that's worth complimenting. Home might be like, hey, yeah, man, you got full pair of pants on, man, you working, you rocking them joints. You know what I'm saying? He just doing that to uplift the spirit of the person. So
that's how a lot of people who are actually in the streets or just have good people skills, that's how they operate, right? They like to bring the spirit, the energy up around them. So what they do is, yeah, they got the money, yeah, they got everything, and they know that you know that. But a person that know how to keep relationships and a person that know how to keep people alive around them, he's going to compliment you no matter what it is. It could be the smallest things. But that's people who bear light. They have great energy around them and they want to make sure that the people around them have the same thing. They don't want to see anybody looking all down and depressing around them. So
feel good. Like,
these rumors suggest that Double D used dope proceeds to fund his music ambitions, paying for studio sessions, travel, and investment in younger artists within the free bands and Black Migo gang circle. Sources familiar with his circle said he had deep connections in Miami.
Now, listen to what this say. Rest in peace, Double D, this Magic, aka Biscayne Mike from Miami. D pimp, but was more true to money than the pimp game. Way before ATL and the free bands thing, he played Miami in the pimp game, but also ran con and fraud. He even was at one point homeless and on door, but bounced back and pimped up. We had many nights in early 200s, I guess he meant 2000s, on Collins and 14th before they tore down the gas station where all the true players would gather. Comfort, Dynamite, Top Cat, Beautiful, Mr. Stay Down, big facts. This is my life. I was there. The ATL, this was an attempt to transition. ATL took him because he had all the tools from the game that the rappers have to get by rapping. A lot of PIs avoided Double D because he was known to sell dope and scam, practices frowned upon in the pimp game, which led to his ultimate demise. Won't speak on the real reason of his death. Don't matter. He's gone. Rest in peace, pimping. Now, this sounds like somebody that actually knew him. Now, as you can see, he made small hints. He said that Double D was known to sell dope and scam, which is certain things that's frowned upon in the pimp game. And it led to his ultimate demise, which kind of puts me in the head that maybe Double D finessed somebody, sold them bad dope, allegedly, scammed them out of something, allegedly, right? And maybe that is the reason he's no longer here.
A city long known as a hub for the dope trade. He often traveled back and forth between Miami and Atlanta, sometimes disappearing for weeks at a time, returning in a new car or with new business opportunities. Some people on the streets of Atlanta whispered that OG Double D wasn't just moving drugs. They claimed he was a finesser, flipping hustles, tricking associates, playing two sides.
See?
Now, OG Blue Dirty is a nasty dealer. And when I say nasty dealer, I'm saying that in a good way. Like, he ain't nothing to play with, man. Hey, man, when it comes to whatever title y'all want to put it on him, he was doing it. He was doing it. You know what I'm saying? He was doing it. You know what I mean? He really was. You know what I'm saying? That's why he liked the scooter so much, because the finessing and all that. Like,
on Reddit threads and local conversations, posters described him as a man who gambled, flipped, and outplayed his rivals. Others called him the ultimate flexer, someone who always came out ahead no matter the game. According to the stories, he knew how to charm people out of money, win risky bets, and move in circles where trust rarely lasted long. It fit the image many already had of him: polished, confident, always one step ahead. He had the cars, the clothes, and the cash flow to back it up. His Maybach had turned heads just days before it became a crime scene. And in a city where status often determined survival, finessing was just another form of power. OG Double D.
See what it says? Finessing. Ran off on the plug. Shame too, because he F with Rocco, Jeezy, Tip, Migo, Scooter, Future, J Money, DTE, and Young LA. Yup, and it wasn't no regular ad hood plug. He was effing with them higher ups. Now, when I seen this earlier, I automatically started thinking that maybe his hit came from something higher. Now, I know who was accused of it, but we know that when we see things like that, normally they're just the face of someone else or something else behind the scenes. Being that OG Double D was as big as he was, it's no telling where he was getting whatever he had from, and it's no telling where that hit came from, being that he was messing with so many people. And he was messing with people that have money. Now, it could be the cartel, it could be some of your favorite rappers, because like I said, who knows who he finessed, right? It could have been any of these guys. And they got caught, and then next thing you know, it caught up with them. But that's the problems and the downside of finessing, aka running off on the plug.
He wasn't just part of Atlanta's rap scene. He was woven into the street politics. His rise in the music world was inseparable from his connections on the ground. By 2012, OG Double D had joined Future's Free Bands label, a collective that blurred the lines between business and the block.
Now here it go. He was a Kirkwood legend. When Future say Free Bands, that was because Double D robbed somebody that was big time and came up real big off that play. Everything they made was free profit. That's also why Future said, when I was serving quarters, you wouldn't even think we had a plug, because they didn't. Double D was at that point. Sheesh.
Within Free Bands was another layer, Black Migo Gang, often shortened to BMG. In interviews and fan discussions, BMG was described as a tight-knit network of hustlers and artists who helped fund one another's ventures. OG Double D fit the archetype perfectly. An older figure with money, cars, and influence. Street insiders called him a patron. Someone who could bankroll projects, settle disputes, and move quietly when things needed handling. Rumor had it that his money helped fund recording sessions for Young Scooter and other rising stars in the BMG Free Band circle.
So I met OG Double D through Scooter.
In Atlanta, being the man with the money meant people were watching, and not always with admiration.
Yeah, I just feel like he probably was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Just was in the, I don't know what really played out, because I was locked up, but you know how the streets got 10 stories, so I just not usually be with him if he out and he over that way.
What was his story? The streets got 10 stories, but what's your story? Because we know that he knows OG Double D personally, and they're all associated with the same crowd, right? So I'm pretty sure he knows what's up. But as y'all know, rest in peace, Scooter, because he lost his life not too long ago as well. But you know he wasn't about to get on no interview, on no social media, or anywhere, and speak on street business that happened to OG Double D.
Came whispers of a split. Around 2013, stories circulated that OG Double D was distancing himself from Future's camp and aligning with Gucci Mane's 1017 Brick Squad. Crossing lines between them was risky. Some said it was a business move. Gucci was signing new artists fast, and OG Double D wanted in. Others claim it was personal, the result of arguments inside Free Bands over money and loyalty. One story told in Atlanta studio said there had been an altercation between OG Double D and Waka Flocka Flame, one of Gucci Mane's prodigies. Details vary. Some say it ended with fist. Others that it stopped just short. But
I can't see OG Double D fighting Waka Flocka. Right? Respectfully, you know, he was a man of honor and he did what he did. But if y'all look at this picture right here, right? OG Double D was very short. Now, we know that Rick Ross is short. And he's a lot shorter than Rick Ross. If I'm not mistaken, Waka Flocka is every bit of 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", somewhere in that 6 range. Now, you know, he probably got the heart of a lion, but you know, back in those days, Waka was Waka. This is before the rapping Waka. Waka was really on it like that. If you know, then you know.
Showed how volatile those circles could be. By the time of his passing, it seemed OG Double D was caught between two empires, each powerful, each protective of its own. In Atlanta's underground, switching sides wasn't a simple business decision. It was a declaration, and sometimes declarations had consequences. From the moment the news broke, the streets of Atlanta were buzzing with questions. Everyone agreed on one thing. OG Double D's hit wasn't random. A daylight ambush on the interstate. 9 bullets through a $500,000 car.
Crazy.
That was a message. The question was, whose message? Almost immediately, theories began to spread. Family members told police that earlier that day, OG Double D had visited South DeKalb Mall twice. He even dropped his brother off at their mother's home just hours before the shooting. They believed he was being watched, maybe even followed from the mall. Some witnesses remembered seeing him talk with someone near the parking lot. Later that afternoon, as he merged onto I-20, the same white SUV appeared in the rearview mirror. To the family, it felt like too much of a coincidence. Despite the speculation, no one could agree on the motive. There was no public threat, no social media taunts, no warning signs in the days before. To his family, he had been calm, optimistic, focused on his career. Yet within hours, he was deceased, hit in broad daylight. In the absence of answers, the theories multiplied. Some said it was a setup by people he trusted. Others whispered about Florida connections, that his assailant might have come from Miami, done the job, and disappeared. In the days following the hit, the Cobb County detectives faced a challenge. The attack had happened in broad daylight, during rush hour, on one of Atlanta's busiest highways. Dozens of drivers had witnessed the chaos, yet almost no one had seen the shooter clearly. Officers processed the Maybach for evidence, photographing the bullet holes that cut through both sides of the vehicle. Shell casings from a high-powered rifle littered the asphalt. It was a hit carried out with precision, the kind that left few mistakes behind. The assailant had vanished into traffic before anyone could react.
Now see, those type of hits, clean, right? With no back history, with nobody getting on social media, those are the ones that are hard for these officers to crack. Because usually they go off of evidence or something they have for social media, especially in these type of days. But remember, this was in 2013. Whereas it's not Chicago, right? Where all these guys used to get on social media and talk about their deaths and what bodies they got. No. This was in 2013 when it was like kind of rare when people would get on there unless you're from Chicago. But forget all that. At the end of the day, they did it clean. They shot, did what they had to do, and rode off into the wind. Easy as that, with no trace.
Months passed, and the case went cold. But in the spring of 2014, a year after the hit, the Cobb County Police finally named a suspect, 25-year-old Christopher Dyer. Dyer wasn't from Georgia. He was a Florida native, already serving time at Marion Correctional Institution in Ocala for burglary and grand theft auto. He was also wanted in Palm Beach County for additional charges. Records show he had a history of violent crimes, including armed burglary convictions from 2007. Police didn't explain how they tied him to the homicide, whether it was through ballistics, witness statement, or forensic evidence.
See, and that's what I always wondered, right? What made them choose him, right? What made them charge him for the shooting of OG Double D? They could be wrong, they could be right, but they never told us why. And the fact that he's from Florida, that let us know that maybe that hit came from something that went down in Florida. They said OG Double D always went to Florida and then came back, popping back to Atlanta with new cars and new business deals and new propositions. So maybe he did a bad deal of whatever in Florida, tried to run back to Atlanta and hide in Atlanta, and they caught up with him.
But they were confident enough to charge him. He's awaiting extradition. A DeKalb police captain told reporters, "We've identified him as the primary suspect." The news shocked the public. Dyer had no known connection to OG Double D. He wasn't part of free bands, the local music scene, or Atlanta circle at all. That fueled a darker theory that Dyer hadn't acted alone. Maybe he was a hired gun sent from Florida to carry out a job for someone else.
See? There you go. Right? That's the only explanation. If he don't got no ties to OG Double D or anybody around him, and it came from another city, 9 times out of 10, something happened out there with OG Double D. He tried to come back to Atlanta and hide out, and they caught up with him.
Law enforcement never confirmed that angle, but they didn't dismiss it either. Detectives continued to probe whether anyone had ordered the hit, especially given Double D's ties to both Miami and Atlanta. After 2014, updates on the case slowed. Local news stopped reporting new developments. There's no public record of a trial or conviction in Georgia under Dyer's name for the homicide.
Wow.
For all intents and purposes, the case slipped back into silence. To this day, OG Double D's hit remains technically unsolved.
There you go. Right? So, nobody knows where it came from. And like they said, to this day, if this man hasn't been convicted, you could be charged. Anybody could be charged. Anybody could be brought in for questioning. Anybody could be accused of something. But it's 2025 going on 26, and he hasn't been convicted. So it's like, I guess they got the public hopes up, like, yeah, we got somebody from Florida, whatever, right, to hush him up. But he hasn't been convicted, and to this day, they don't have anybody else in question. So 9 times out of 10, I guess the case went cold, unfortunately. Rest in peace to OG Double D. Y'all jump in the comments. Let me know what y'all think about this. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell so you're notified every time we drop new content. And remember, as long as you keep on watching, I'm going to keep on dropping. And I'm out.